We do have some snacks, courtesy of the Bucknell SBDC, and some drinks, some coffee. We have some sponsors here at Business Bytes and Brews, and they are our friends next door, W&S Distributors, our friends at Ivy Coffee, Tamkis Art and Design, and last but not least, the Bucknell SBDC, which is the Small Business Development Center. This is a monthly opportunity to dial in from online or to join us here in person in Northumberland, Pennsylvania at Cup of Code HQ and learn a little bit more about what some amazing speakers and industry experts have to say. And it's we put it out there as a safe place to ask questions. There are folks in here who have been in business for years and years, and they've learned a lot of things. And there's some of you in here that don't know what you don't know. So this is that place to ask that question. I want to pass it over to Stephen Stumbers from the SBDC and share your thoughts.
Sure. Thank you, Norm. And thank you all for turning out for Business Bytes and Brews. As Norm said, the last Wednesday of every month. Know that this is a place to come connect with other entrepreneurs, connect with other small business owners who are no doubt in some similar situations as you. You're all here. You're going to learn some ideas, some new tools, some new strategies for getting the word out about your business. That's something you can count on every month at Business Bytes and Brews. Some way to improve your marketing, some new way to market your business. But you are also going to be connecting with other entrepreneurs and other small business owners of the region, as well as people who help them. So I want to make sure to highlight Amber Guerrero and myself. I'm Steve from Bucknell's Small Business Development Center. The SBDC is a resource. We have many, many educational programs, many opportunities to learn new tools and information to help you in your small business, as well as setting up some time to meet with us. A couple members of our team who were with us last month are off at another site today, but you will hear from Alicia Mack, one of the consultants on our team. She's going to be featured as next month's speaker, and I'm super, super excited about that. But today, I'm excited that Alex Fleck is presenting. You're all going to learn a bit about how to make money in your business. Is there anyone who doesn't want to learn about that? You can go now. All right, so subscription models and the strategies that he has employed, not just in his many, many ventures that he has started and grown, but the expertise that he's picked up over the years of doing that. One of the earliest ways that I connected with Alex was in this region's entrepreneurship ecosystem. He joined me and a whole bunch of other entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial thinkers for the region for 1 Million Cups, which was a long-running program bringing together entrepreneurs, giving actually a few of you here today, you had the opportunity to share your story of starting and growing your business. Alex served as one of the fellow organizers for that program for many years. So really appreciate having had the chance to work with you in that. Love that you're here with us today to continue contributing to the entrepreneurs of our region. I can't wait to learn more from you today.
Awesome.
Norm, anything else you wanted to say?
No.
All right, to everyone online, welcome. Keep on coming back. To everyone here, please give me join me in welcoming Alex.
Thank you so much, Steve. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, folks. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm going to talk a little bit today about one of my passions, which is subscription entrepreneurship. So my big focus today is to give you an insight into what I do in my own businesses or for clients I consult with and build out subscription systems and so on. But my big focus is really stop selling once. A lot of people, we're in business. We get a customer, we sell, see you later. Maybe they come back at some point in the future, but that's where it ends. And where I've seen the businesses grow that I've built or I've consulted with is when they implement a subscription or recurring revenue model into their business. So today I want to talk about how to turn your business into a recurring revenue machine. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my perspective. I'll explain a little bit about my history as well. If I'm going too fast or anything with my accent, I've been here for 10 years, but I still haven't lost it. Just stop me or raise your hand and then we'll do questions after. I'm going to show you how we've done it, how I've done it personally, some case studies, and then some of the framework that I deploy for clients in my own businesses to make it successful. So let me get the arrows right. Here we go. Okay, so my view is, and this is me being biased and selfish, but subscription can be the foundation. Most of us are in business and we sell, like I say, historically, my background was marketing. I did a bachelor's in psychology and I wanted to go into like forensic psychology. I ended up going into sales and marketing. And then I launched my agency about 20 years ago. And I think, at first I was like, okay, I'll do this project and that'll be it. And I'll hand it off and, hopefully that'll be it. There's no systemization to bringing business back or even really getting business on board. So to me, back then, it was just like sell and done, and that would be it. Now my view has completely flipped, where I'm like, we should have subscription as the core, and the other stuff can build upon it as the foundation. So I want to just say, how does it apply to your business? Because I'm sure you all have different broad-ranging businesses. I know mushrooms is one of them, right? So, and I've seen a couple of you guys at different events. So I'm sure you have a wide variety of experience and passions and businesses. So this is my experience. How does subscription apply to different types? So the first is e-commerce and retail. Physical products, you've got curation boxes, replenishment clubs, member programs, food and beverage. I've got clients who are like coffee subscriptions. They send like coffee every week or 2 weeks or month or 6 weeks. Meal kits, specialty ingredients, service businesses, so like monthly retainers, so services, sell. I do this as well as part of what I do. Coaches and creators, part of what I do. But you may have a membership or mentorship program. You may have a community you've got online that you want to monetize and take forward. All those types of things. So you kind of create different layers to it. A lot of my clients historically were like fitness, fitness studios. I think you guys probably all know Nissan Trotter locally, right? Great guy. And I kind of started out with him. I actually worked with him a little bit. But, things like that where you had like a studio and you wanted to monetize more around the studio. So you've got your base, but you want to introduce different ways for people to give you money every month, which is what we all want. That's what we're going for today. Home and lifestyle, seasonal decor is one of my clients' holiday haul box. And Louisa, she sends out 7 boxes a year for different holidays across the year. And she's grown into the low thousands of subscribers. I'll talk a little bit about her as one of the case studies because it shows a little bit about how you can actually take a subscription model, but instead of just doing it on a monthly basis, really leverage some different features to get annual prepays or 6-month prepays or more. You also have things like wholesale, B2B, auto replenishment for restaurants. Like I've got my client who's the coffee guy. He has a coffee subscription in Scotland, but he lives in Vietnam now, but his team runs it back in Scotland. But they, last week they got a call from one of the castles in Scotland and they just run out of coffee. So it's all these cool little stories that I hear from people who I consult with who are passionate and they build their passion into a business. And I think I'm probably right in saying that a lot of us are in the same position. 2, finally on the list, education. So like content, live coaching, expert Q&As and that kind of thing. So most businesses, like I said, bolt on subscription as like an afterthought. It's like, oh, I've got a good business. Let's see if we can make some money out of subscription element. And so they introduce a sideline to it, which is totally fine. And it can work if you do it in the right way. It's just a slightly different touch point with your brand. It's a different strategy, process, and it's a different foundation that you have to lay to achieve that. So the problem that I see with transactional e-commerce, transactional business, but predominantly what I deal with is e-commerce online, is that you have to chase new customers every single month. So every month the revenue resets to 0 and you're back to it. And you've got to go, okay, well, we had a great month last month. It was, we had 20 new clients and, we generated whatever, 50 grand, 20 grand, $1 million, whatever it is. And now we're fulfilling those clients and now everything drops and we're back to fulfillment and, oh yeah, we better get back to generating new revenue. So you have to always cycle it. And that, to me, that was always a problem I had in the business, was in my original business, which was the marketing consultancy, which was it would just go in peaks and troughs. And so I had to think about, well, how do we get people to consistently buy? And so part of that's partnerships and networking and all those things. Parts of it's systemization. And the other part of it is building subscription in as a core tenet of your business. So subscription to me is the foundation. Now, I moved into subscription kind of by accident. So I've been doing this for 20 years, but during COVID, I had an idea for a wristwatch club, and I was like, look, it's a passion of mine. I just want to put it out there and help people and have fun with it. And then COVID came along right before we were launching. It was like 6 weeks, 8 weeks before we'd planned to launch. So we were like, oh crap, this is going to be tricky. And what we did was, instead of using it as a bottleneck or a roadblock, we spun it around and said, it's an opportunity. What we can do is we can test the theory of, does this work? So we basically ran an alpha program, and it was a subscription club. So you basically pay anywhere from like $200 to $500 a month, or quarterly. We did offer that too. And we send a wristwatch out, and the person keeps it. And so the promise is on value there. But we did an alpha launch, and we sold out 125 spots of that. And this is for a brand new business within about 6 weeks after announcing our launch. So we sold out the alpha in the summer. Then June, we basically launched a beta, and we sold about 400 spots in that. So 400 spots, average about $350. It worked out about 135 grand in revenue across 2 kind of mini launches for a brand new brand. And I was like, hang on, this is just us having some fun. So what more is there to this? And then I noticed that the pattern of what we did, it was all based around subscription, but it was based around community and passion. Everybody had the same passion. That's why they bought in, or the same need. And that's why then I was like, hang on, subscription works. If you can build some sort of program around your business that gets people coming back every single month on autopilot and just paying money, and they don't even need to think about it, it's just paid, then that's the key. That's where the revenue jumps. That's where you have a solid foundation for the business. And then I'll show you the framework shortly, but then you stack everything else on top. So recurring revenue to me is the stable floor. That's where you want to get to. And then the upsells, the things like the standard transactional e-commerce products, seasonal deals, different things like that. They basically just build upon that solid foundation. It allows you to do more. When you know and you can forecast what's coming in through subscription, it's much easier for you to advertise or invest or grow. So the shift for me was when I started asking, look, should I add subscription? And instead of that, it became the core of everything I did. Just to give you an example of how it works, because it's hard to imagine the difference. Like what does subscription mean? Well, if you take a single product, and just for argument's sake, we say it's $50, super simple, and you go out on a transactional basis and you get 30 new customers a month. What does that look like versus doing the same thing with a subscription model? So I don't know if you guys can see it. You'll get these slides after as well, so you can look into it. But $50 per month by 30 new customers a month, what you're having to do there is you're still having to get 30 new customers. So you're better to put the money and the effort into getting 30 new subscribing customers, because over a year, say you come to month 12, 30 customers every single month. You generate in month 12, you generate $1,500. If you start the process today for a subscription business and you do exactly the same thing, your revenue is $13,800. So instead of $1,500, $13,800. So over the year, in the one-time transactional model, you generate 18 grand from those small $50 projects. From the subscription model, maybe the same type of product delivered every month. Could be replenishment like the coffee, or a subscription box like a themed box and stuff like that, like mushrooms and those types of things. You're generating 85.6K. So it's 4.7 times more just by flipping it into a subscription model. And then of course the question comes, well, my product doesn't work as a subscription. And my honest view on that is it shouldn't be, does my product work for subscription? It should be, how do I build a product that does work for subscription out of this passion? So it could be multiplying it could be having a variety of the one product, replenishment, it could be coaching, it could be VIP experiences. But the idea is, if you can keep it interesting enough and loyalty building enough for people to keep coming back, the finances themselves are a no-brainer. It makes much more sense to work in subscription. So have a look at the graph, because it's such a compounding factor to work in subscription. You don't notice it month to month. It's only when you look across like a year or 2 years and you've done it's a little bit of the same amount of work. But the argument then comes, I'm sure a lot of you will say, well, it's probably going to be cheaper to get, just like, not have to get somebody into a subscription. And that's partly true. It'll cost a little bit more in terms of touch points, advertising, potentially to get somebody into a subscription, unless it's completely unique in the market, nobody else is doing it. That's quite unlikely, but not impossible. So depending on your own businesses, you may find, hang on, there's nobody doing this. And that, to me, is like the golden opportunity. It was the same when I launched the Watch Club. Nobody, well, there was like one other company worldwide that was really doing it. So all we did was we took what they did and we said, half of this is rubbish. We're going to make that better. And we're going to do this other stuff to make ourselves look better compared to the other product. And that's a pretty, it was a pretty straightforward process to do that. So we just mapped it all out. But we also know that it's 5 to 7 times cheaper to sell to somebody already buying from you. So if you get the one customer, it's much easier to sell more to them. We've seen it in the Watch Club. We would have somebody on like a $500 monthly subscription. So they get a watch. It's normally worth about $1,000. But through the processes that I'll show you in this slide, we then would maybe 2 or 3 times that in a single month. So the one customer paying $500 through the intelligent kind of automated systems, we send them offers. We have offers in their dashboard. We send them emails, texts, push notifications, whatever it is. We would find people adding on, just going, yeah, I want this fancier thing. I'll do, okay, add on 500. You know what? I'm going to add on another 500. And suddenly you're up into $1,500, $2,000 per customer because they trust your brand. And so we've got customers who stayed with us the whole way through, they'd spent like 30, 50 grand by the end of 2 or 3 years with us through the subscriptions, through the watches. Again, it shows if you pick something that people are passionate about, they will pay money for, and you get in front of the right people, it can completely explode your average order value. And that's something else that I really come to subscription strategy with is you've got your core product. That's great. That's your foundation, but it's all the stuff that comes up after that. So in this instance, we say prospect to subscriber. That's the hardest part, to get somebody from top of funnel who they don't even know your brand and get them to middle of funnel where they're like, maybe, and then bottom of funnel is, look, you need to make a decision, yes or no, become a customer or move on. And so that's the hardest process. But once you have them as a subscriber, as long as you treat them well, the product's good, the offering's good, your support is good, and that kind of stuff, then the rest is just, it's super simple. So we have things like subscriber to an upsell. So like one email, one click, near zero channel cost. I just had a guy actually, he was on, I was refining something in our system. I asked him to test it today. He's a customer in the Watch Club, and he just paid $900 last month to start his subscription. And he's going to buy, we have this different model of club now, but he's going to buy this new watch. But what I was testing was a one-click upsell where our system can automatically take his account and say, okay, Lane is a really good customer. That particular watch is worth a little bit less. We're going to push out an offer right now. So he was in a meeting there and he goes, I'm in a meeting. I can't listen to your voice message, but I'm just going to click the button. And so he went, bought another $700 worth of a watch, right? So that, translate that to your business, how you can upsell from the core. It has that extra compounding nature. Subscriber to seasonal offer. I'll show you a couple of examples of how we do that. But there's one client, actually locally to here that I work with. It's actually, I don't have a lot of Pennsylvanian clients. Most of them are like all around the world, but this is one in Pennsylvania. We'll also look at add-ons. So for example, we send out automated emails every single month. Hey, check your dashboard. There's special deals in there. People click through, they add them on. You're taking your average order value maybe from $30 in the instance of her crafting club up to maybe 45 or 50. You can pretty well maximize it there. And then I'll show you case studies about annual plans, because that's one thing that subscription entrepreneurs shy away from is, ooh, I couldn't possibly ask for more money up front because they're just getting the same thing. So I'll show you how to do that strategically as well. But the key is that once someone subscribes, every other revenue lever becomes dramatically easier and cheaper to pull. So here's the revenue stack. This is the way I look at it. So the subscription element is the foundation for me. And that's the way I view it. You could slot it in elsewhere in your business, depending on how uniquely it would position itself. But the subscription is the bottom line. Then you go your monthly add-ons and little dashboard deals and emails and so on, upsells and cross-sells. So like maybe a free gift or 30% off at checkout. Average order value on average lifts about 30 to 50% on the first sale if you strategically do it the way we do it. Seasonal and limited offers. So we just finished up a load of Easter offers for clients this week, and then they're being shipped so people have them before Easter. And one of my clients completely sold out. She had like 200 offer deals and completely sold out of them, just like snap up an Easter product. The funny thing was all our advertising was geared to just go to the site, become a subscriber, but actually people stuck around and they went into the Easter deal, added that, and then became a subscriber after. So that's even better. Like all our advertising is pumping it in, maximizing the average order value just on the seasonal deal alone. And then you've got new revenue lines. So maybe, and I'll show you a case study for this, maybe a second brand, like I call it rinse and repeat. But once you have the framework for subscription, and I've got a client that's doing this on multiple brands, you can literally spin up a new brand, same principle, maybe even the same market, the same avatar, ideal customer, just a slightly different slant. And that's, again, where it compounds from a revenue standpoint. And it makes it a lot more fun as well. So this is the client based near York, Cozy Crafter Crates, or Crates. But Charlotte, we have 5 revenue levers in place on her platform built around subscription. So the core subscription is it. That's what we focus on. When somebody comes into the site, we don't convolute it. We're like, you want to be a subscriber, you're going to get this every month. Simple as that. We also then have a charter schools element because she has crafting kits. So it's for homeschoolers. So what she finds, which is great if you can identify these types of opportunities as well, people aren't just buying one kit or one subscription. They're buying, we have it all set up for multi-kid families. So there's some families with like 8 kids, or some people buy for like their little kind of pod that they work within. It's like 12 kits, but those are all subscriptions that roll every month. We also have charter schools. So she is on marketplaces that send traffic back to her, but the charter schools have a different process. So she manually processes most of those. We've got seasonal bundles, for example, Easter. And so we've got Easter now, then it's, we're doing what we call boredom buster box, which is going to be for moms as we approach the end of semester. You know, all the kids are getting out of school. It's a bad way to be for everybody, but we're going to give them boredom buster boxes. So that's another seasonal bundle. Then we're moving on to July 4th, obviously a massive July 4th this year. So we're going to put in place a big promotion there. And then it'll be Halloween and Thanksgiving and onward. We also do a lot of checkout upsells. So what we do is, if you can, for example, offer a free gift first in the checkout process. Yeah, I want to be a subscriber. Click the button, goes in, here's your free gift. Great. You know, it's worth 20 bucks, 30 bucks, 100 bucks, accept gift. Then at the next phase, we're uplifting them into an upsell. So the gifts could be something that we maybe got free from suppliers or bought, you know, discounted or whatever. It's not a massive lift for us as a business. But the upsell is where we make the money. And that's how we get them. We could do 1 upsell, you could do 5, it just depends. You could do all sorts of conditional logic branching. So they could accept or decline, then we move them to another phase, and we take them along the process. And that's how we maximize the average order value as well. And then that idea about the dashboard add-on. So every month an email goes out to them about 3 days before their renewal's coming up, and it says, check your dashboard, we've got tons of new deals just for you. You got to get them. It's strictly limited stock. And that's, again, how we maximize that. So again, the subscription's the base. The transactional e-commerce element to this upsells on top. So it's like what we say is like, it's gravy, right? That's the good stuff. That's where the money is. And that's what you want to get to. And then I talked a little bit about it a moment ago, the annual prepay concept. So in subscription, you might have a $50, $60 subscription per month. And you're like, oh, if we offer an annual plan, that's like 600 bucks, 700, 800 bucks. That, I feel that's a bit much. You know, people won't buy that. They won't pay that. And so, well, first of all, they will. If you make it the right offer, maybe you give them a month free, 2 months free. Maybe you add a big gift to it. And again, those gifts might not cost a lot of money, but it's about how you stack the value up front to get them to buy in. So what we do, the left-hand example is the burn box. My client, Tom, he's a firefighter in New York. He runs a number of amazing brands, but this one was his first one. And so we only just launched this about 3 months ago, the VIP annual. I mean, so we started out, his box is $69.99 a month. He's got about 2,700 subscribers as of today. But we wanted to introduce the VIP annual. So what we did was, look, why would somebody pay $800 up front? Well, first of all, if they're passionate about it, they will. So that's fine. Secondly, we put in free gifting. So anybody buying up front gets a free gift. I can't even remember what we offered on his one, but on another site for him, we offered a free challenge coin board, a big wooden board that you could hang your challenge coins on. It was worth about $200, handmade, all that stuff. But we offered that for anybody prepaying. So it was linked to what they were buying. They were like, yeah, VIP access. We give them access to secret shops that nobody else sees. So they know that they've got that VIP level. Priority shipping. And then every quarter, we allow those annual buyers to swap out something if they don't like it. They get a box and they're like, no, this isn't for me. They can ship it back. We'll ship out the next one. So it's a really high profit margin maintained, but the entire reason we went for the annual up front was he's in a new growth mode. So if we can get, and we can get more people buying up front at $800. The cash injection into the business allows us to scale everything, allows us to do more advertising, to invest more in the product, to buy it more in bulk, maximize profit, and we go from there. The holiday haul box one, that was actually the first one that we did, and that was about 3 or 4 years ago. And Louisa has the 7 holiday boxes across a year. And it's holiday decor, but we did the same thing. Free mystery gift. We gave them free, first ship priority, access to seasonal secret shop. And I think that was it for Louisa. But then she was getting like $600 up front from these customers for the holidays across a year. So the strategy here is small discount, VIP status, access different perks. The cash from that floods in. You know, you get 10 sales a month from those people who would have just paid $700. Now they're paying $7,000, right? So in month one, the profit stays high because we can buy more product. It just improves everything across the board, and we can invest more to scale and take it to the next level. On that note of my client Tom, who owns the burn box, so this is how it branches out then. Once you get a really solid subscription foundation, he has the burn box. That was his first brand. He launched it about 5 years ago. So he's still a firefighter in New York. He still gets up. He does like 24-hour shifts. I don't know how he does it. I couldn't do it. But he comes back, and then he's like, right, okay, we've got to do this. He's got one fulfillment center in Indianapolis doing it all, and like some basically not friends, but he's got colleagues and different people who have retired doing things like communicating with customer support and that kind of thing. But he's at 2,700 subscribers. What we did with his second brand was about 2 years ago now. He was like, Alex, I've got an idea. I want to do challenge coins for fire department enthusiasts. And I was like, it's a great idea. Let's do it. He's like, I just don't have the time, 24-hour shifts and being a firefighter and training and all this stuff. And the burn box is up to 2,000 at that stage, maybe 2,200 subscribers. So I'm too busy. So I said, look, give it to me, pay me some money, but give it to me and I'll make it happen. So over a 3-month period, we did a launch for it. And it's now grown to 1,600 subscribers. So in between those two brands, as of like this month, including subscriptions, including some add-ons and upsells and monthly things and prepays and all the stuff that we're doing, those two businesses alone are hitting 250K in monthly recurring revenue. So he's now going, this was his term, he said, for the Collectors Club, because I said, look, we've done it. Let's just redo it. Well, I'll put in place all the framework we need to do. We'll make it work, the systems, everything done for Collectors Club. And he said, yes, it's rinse and repeat. You know the framework. Subscription works. We know how to top up and add on top of it. We know we've got a passionate audience who want this. Let's do it. And now he's got other partnerships in the police department that they're launching different things. similar sort of thing. So one person, right? So a lot of us, I assume, are small team or solopreneur. We got to do everything. We wear all the hats, and we got to outsource or bring people on and get specialists and that kind of stuff. But that's just one example to show you one person, two brands. He's got more, 250 grand in monthly recurring revenue. And that's, again, using the 5 levers that I talk about. So you got your subscription, and you've got add-ons and upsells and seasonal offers and that kind of stuff, but without a team. So the actual overhead is pretty low for his businesses. So the ceiling breaker there is that subscription doesn't just increase the revenue, it actually creates the infrastructure for multiple revenue streams that run largely without you if you have the right systems in play. So here's what I would say to you guys, because you'll all be different businesses, different products or services. How does it work for me, right? We can answer a lot of that in the Q&A. I'm going to finish up in just a couple of minutes. Is that cool? Yeah. So days 1 to 30, say you were starting today, define and validate the process. So choose your model and your ideal subscriber. If you've got customers, it's probably your ideal subscriber. Build a waiting list of 100 before you build. So you can put up like a landing page, like the guys here at Cup of Coke could help with that. I could help with it. So, whatever works, get it live, put up a landing page, get people to it and explain to them what's coming. Build a wait list of say 100 people. What we did initially with the Watch Club, which I had no intention of it working. Like I thought maybe we'd get like 50 people or something. Well, from the brand being born to getting a logo, announcing it, that was about 3 weeks. Within about another 4 weeks, we had 1,100 people on a wait list or on an email list. And then we started going, okay, look, we're going to do this little mini launch, right, coming up to COVID, 100 people. And that was the first time I saw it and went, my goodness, this works. Because what it does is people are like, we had 1,100 people. They were like, I want that. And we were like, no, 100 people. And then we sold out. We actually sold 125 before we shut it down, but that was like overnight. But I'll tell you something as well, to watch the ticker of orders come through on that, it was like the most fun I've ever had as an entrepreneur, just seeing like order. So that's fun, so do it. But what I would do is build a list. If you already have one, you've already got one, you can just announce it to them. And then you build a sub list or a different, slightly different bucket to sell to. Then you pre-sell it at the founding member price so they know they're getting early access. You say, hey, I just want some feedback. We're going to do a great deal. You'll lock in this price, but we want feedback. We want help. We want you to take photos and share it online and hashtag this, that, and the other. Social media marketing isn't my thing. I'm sure these guys will be able to help you with that. But that's the way we worked it, and it worked. So you prove demand before you really have the infrastructure, but then you deliver on a small scale so that you can learn from that and then scale from there. So days 31 to 60, and these are just random days. You could pick 60 to 120 if you really wanted to, but normally a 90-day full launch is pretty good because it keeps momentum going. But if you open to founding members, say 50 to 100, personal onboarding, right? So it's like hand holding, but very personalized service, like sort of your white glove service. And then you can build your first upsells and add-on sequences. And then you collect all the feedback from them and use it to refine the system so that when you layer the first lever, it's day 61, 90, you're measuring month 2 retention, how many people stuck around based on what you did in that first month, because that month 2 is the killer for subscription businesses. Because if you don't explain to them, this is why you should stick around. It's not only an amazing product, we're building a community, we're building a movement, you don't want to miss out on this, they may leave. So you want to kind of give them little tidbits of, hey, this is what's coming. I had a really good one recently, which was, I didn't do it, but I stole the idea. But it was a brand called Everyday Dose. Have you ever heard of it? You probably have. So it's like mushroom coffee. And they sent their first subscription to me with some gifts. And I was like, oh, it's great. It had a frother. We still use the frother today. And they had a little postcard. And it just said, this is your next 6 months of subscription. You're getting a free gift next month. You're getting a mystery gift the following month. You're getting something else. And I was like, okay, well, I better stay then. I don't want to miss out, right? So I don't know how much I paid. I didn't really like the coffee too much, but I stayed for probably 8 months just to get all the freebies. If I'd liked the coffee, I would have stayed longer, but they still got a lot of money out of me. So that's the way to do it. And then you start building in the other levers, like the monthly add-ons, the email sequences, the systems like that. And then once you've validated it all, now you can scale, you can grow because you've got the systems in place. So the signal to me is month 3 retention. If it's above 80%, green light to scale and start stacking more and more levers as you go into that. And that's pretty much me for today, but I do have a couple of free things you can just check out. It's on my website. The first is a little subscription advantage hub I built for you guys today. It's like 4 articles. You just click in, you can read them. I think there are different tools in them. I forget what I built now, but there are different tools within them that you can use for basically seeing if your system or your business is primed for this. There's a subscription, like optimized questionnaire. You can go through, answer some questions about where you're at in the business, what most of your business is, the product, all that stuff, and it'll tell you how ready you are, like today, for subscription entrepreneurship. And all that is, it's not an answer. It's okay, this is the baseline. Now, where do we go from here? And then there are other free tools as well that you can use on the site. Just go to the tools tab. It's got like a revenue simulator, so you can see in your business, if you take your one product and you spin it into a subscription model, the difference that can make to you, and then you can make some decisions from there. So that's about all I have today. Do you want to do some questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that was a great one.
I have a question for you to start, if I may. I don't see anyone, their hand flying up. So
Yeah.
I remember there's this old Soviet psychologist that has this, and you mentioned studying psychology. And so there's this, I can't remember, it begins with a Z, but anyways, the psychologist says, people remember tasks that they have not completed.
Yeah.
And so like you were talking a little bit about that, and we've all like been introduced to the phenomenon where we put something in our cart and then we don't finish that.
Yeah.
And then it reminds us through a retargeting marketing tactic that we've used it somewhere along the line. So I guess, can you talk a little bit about the psychology behind what you've built with recurring services and you just started to talk about it with the coffee, with the frother, right?
Yeah.
Because there's something that you're missing out on, or maybe something you haven't completed. Has that been something that's helped you through your process?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think, if you've got those things to draw people back, well, what you need as a brand is a number of different touch points to build trust with the person who's your ideal customer. And that's who you should be going after. You don't want somebody who's going to be a tire kicker or get it for a month just to get the free gift and then go, right? So there's no point, wherever possible, in spending the money on those people. So things like abandoned cart automations and tracking those people, a lot of the systems these days have built-in cart abandonment processes. So if you're using a platform, a particular platform, it might have it built in which case you can say, hey, okay, email 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to send these out on this time scale just to remind the person there's something in the cart. By email 3, we're going to maybe offer 30% off month 1. And they're like, oh, okay. So it's touch points, even in an email form, can help like that. Like, hey, you forgot something, come back. Because they may just have got, a kid shouts or the dinner's on, or, a call is starting in work and you got to jump on. You're like, oh, what was that thing I was looking at? So you're almost doing them a service by reminding them that, hey, you remember you were interested in this? And then it's touch points to build trust. So maybe it takes 3, 4, 5, 7. Maybe they don't in that instance. And then you've got retargeting ads that go to them and say, yeah, we're still here and it's even better than you thought. And if you do it right now, here's, the discount or the free gifts. That to me is huge. Like those free gift concepts, it just keeps people motivated to stay. And of course, as a business, in between the time, you're supposed to be going, okay, like we want them to stay, but how do we really like delight them to the point where they're like, there's absolutely no way I'm leaving ever. That's the ultimate goal, is they're a subscriber, they stay forever. And our best members in the Watch Club were those guys, like month on month on month, they were paying $300, $400, $500. And then they'd buy stuff in flash sales and auctions. And, like I say, you look at those customers and they're paying you on a smaller scale, like 20, 30, 40 grand. Some of them are paying that a year. There were guys that were on from day one that were doing that. So I think it's important to follow up. The touch points is massive. What was the last bit of that question?
I think you answered more than I thought more than I had asked, I think the importance is reminding people that you're there, that the service is there, and telling them again. I think sometimes as salespeople, everyone in this room is selling something, whether it's mushrooms or artwork or inflatable costumes, singograms. Everyone's got to remind that person, because at the end of the day, we need food, we need shelter, and we need love from our family, and all of the things in this room probably not things that we can live and die without what everybody in here has.
Yeah.
But we're creatures of influence, and depending on how to use a marketing term, how sexy the offer is, we'll go for it, because we've become a kind of consumerist economy where we'll buy things that are attractive to us, and we'll overbuy things that are attractive to us, and we'll buy things that we don't need.
Yep.
And it's on us. It's incumbent upon us as the company owner or the marketer to say, let's make this more interesting, and then remind that person that our product is more interesting than the others.
Yeah, right.
So it's like,
That's a great point.
Tell them over and over again.
Yeah, just keep hammering it home. Like, don't be afraid. Like, because I think a lot of us as well, you are selling something. So a lot of us maybe aren't natural salespeople. So we just go, oh, well, they didn't want it the first time, so I'll move on. It's not that they don't need it or want it. You've got to be confident in what you do, that they do want that and they do need it, or they perceive that they need it. Which sort of leads me on, if I was doing anything, you're building out your marketing, you've got your, retargeting and abandoned cart things and all that stuff. One of the biggest keys is going to be social proof. So showing people, hey, somebody just like you bought this and it blew their mind. So that's another little, marketing lever that you want to pull is, you're missing out by not being here, right? So it's pretty powerful, that one. Yeah.
Question: as far as like marketing like services, is there a way to track or like service you provide? Whereas like let's just say you put it in the homeowner's court in the sense of like, hey, this is part of a subscription. We offer this service. Call us, or however that's set up. Is there a way to track or kind of watch whether they're utilizing that service, like coming back to be able to like force them back to being?
Do you mean before they pay, or like once they're a member?
Yeah, like once they're a member. Like I'm kind of thinking about it from like a water softener system.
Yeah.
Right. That service needs update.
Yeah, absolutely.
But in a sense of like, you get them in a subscription of like, hey, we would come in and service this.
Yeah.
But then their system's working, your salt's being put in. How do you get them to kind of come back to see if they're utilizing that service, or get them to come back where there's more repeated?
Yeah, well, I think I definitely think part of that is like, are there other supportive materials or other perks that you can offer in terms of like monitoring how they're using that or what they're doing and so on?
There's like, is there a way to track it? Like, once you're in that, like you give them that VIP, or you put them in the, like, hey, these are the services that I provide. Is there a way to track it where we kind of say like, hey, this customer's just been stagnant and only been paying just this?
You want to upsell and get?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like they're just
absolutely.
Here.
Yeah.
Could we,
well, depending on the system that you're using, a lot of us in this room know about building the different systems and automations. What you would be doing is saying, okay, this person, if these certain parameters or conditions are not met, for example, activity, doing this, that, or the other, we're going to trigger a sequence of upsells or like re-nurture protocols, like sending them emails and getting them into new programs, or introducing your maybe newer features that benefit them over and above. I mean, that's almost like, if you do that in a systemized way as well, but you can also follow up with like personalized emails and calls, which is what people, they want to be looked after, right? So yeah, you could definitely do it with the system itself, whatever system you would be using, and it would just be a matter of intelligently putting in place triggers, automation triggers that would send like texts or emails or push notifications, depending on, again, the system. But it's absolutely doable. Yeah.
I think
it's
of
a good idea.
MailChimp.
Yeah.
And just sending out a monthly newsletter that says, hey, I'm here. And we see a lot in the subscriber world. We see a lot of folks in Ruben, in your market, that say, hey, maybe I water softener, or maybe it's an HVAC system that I just installed for you. And right now we're running a spring
cleaning, and it needs to be serviced. So it's a reminder that, we installed that for you. And if you book this now in the next 30 days, then and pay us, then we're going to give you $10 or $20 off.
Yep.
Or just a constant contact, or something that is saying, hey, I'm here. Don't forget about me.
Yep.
And then, do you use a CRM right now system? So a CRM, like a Jobber or something like that, that might be a great place for
Something like that.
something like that. Yeah. But just a trigger to say to you, hey, I got Norm as my customer on July 1st of 2025. It's coming up soon. And then you can alert that system to say, hey, remind me that 30 days out, and say, hey, Norm, it's been almost a year.
Yeah.
How's everything working there? What can I help you with? One of the things that we commonly find are that the filters are dirty, and we'd like to come out and do that. In fact, if you pay for that now, we're going to give you $20 off.
Yep.
And
Perfect.
then a link to a job scheduling system that says, oh yeah, let me book that right now. So there's, that's the one thing that I think Alex is really great at is the automated systems, and using AI to say, let that work while you're out doing what you do, while he's doing what he's doing. We're integrating those systems as well, because we're only, 5 or 6 people.
Yeah.
Let the computers do the yeoman's work for us, right?
100%, because you'll never keep up with all those things if you try and do it all yourself. That's why, like, these days, the technology is so well primed for taking all the boring stuff away that actually does work. You can do stuff you enjoy. Yeah, Norm's absolutely right.
By the way, Norm, before the next question for Alex, you mentioning the monthly or follow-up email newsletter. But if you want to hear from Cup of Code, if you want to be invited to an upcoming SBDC event, please add your name, email on the sheet on the table in front of you if you haven't already.
Or on that QR code. Or that too.
Any way you prefer.
Yeah. Thank you, Steve.
Yep.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, but
Griffin, go ahead.
We do landscaping, so very recurring based
Yep.
during the summer. Winter, we get more into you're on our list if something happens,
yeah,
and then we'll go crazy and get it done.
yeah.
We've got a big rush in the fall for fall cleanups. We have a big rush in the spring for spring cleanups, mulch, stone, things like that.
Yep.
And then we have a lot of project-based driven revenue.
Yeah.
So, your retaining walls, patios, one-time services.
Yep.
So I've looked into doing subscription-based things where, hey, we're going to prorate it for the year.
Yeah.
You're going to pay us, instead of $400 a month for 6 months and then nothing for the rest of it, you're going to pay us $200 a month all year.
Mhm.
So how would you suggest building that in when you have jobs that in $5 increments go ranging from $65 to $500 a week?
Right.
And you've got, a $65 lawn might be a $125 driveway,
Yeah.
might be a $250 cleanup, might be a $1,000 mulch.
Yeah.
But the next
Yeah.
job could be completely flip-flopped numbers.
Yeah.
So how do you systemize that, building up that subscription so it's easy for, say, an employee of mine to go out, lock that customer in, and
Yeah.
go?
Well, there's probably a couple of different ways you could do it. You could do it on that kind of, scope work. Who was saying earlier about the automated? It was you. You built it for the site, right? So, Tim and the guys built a system on their site that basically takes a load of work away from them, but where the person goes in and goes, this is what I need. What's the price going to be? So you could almost do like a variable subscription, and then somebody you would have them price it on the site and maybe then validate it on site, depending on the geolocation you're working with. And I'm sure that would be possible, right? You would just have a person that part of their role would be go out, validate the size and the complexity of everything, confirm it. It's a little bit more laborsome because of that, rather than just getting the person to see it, sign up and go with the plan. But that might be a locked in way of just saying, look, your unique subscription is $379.99 a month versus $179 versus whatever it is. And then you could prorate it. You could also look at the annual upfront and but priced just for them. Or you could do like different packages and just know that they're all going to vary. So hopefully you'll get lucky on some and not on others, but you'd have to measure that over time. But you could almost run a trial on that and say, look, there are 3 packages, and the upper package, it's for this kind of location and premises, and these are all the things. And we'll take, it's like the white glove VIP treatment, and you'll pay $479 a month for that one.
Yeah, I love the thought because it's so fun when you do 3 different packages based on what kind of service you expect at your property.
Right.
We thought about doing that for an annual thing. Another question I'll I'll coin to you on that is if we typically budget between 25 and 30 mows a season.
Mhm.
Now, there's some years where that lawn was going to need 20.
Mm-hmm.
There's some years we're going to use all 30.
Yeah.
So if I'm prorating that, it's going to be the same price every month. The customer already knows what they're paying monthly on a 4-week month.
Yeah.
How do I build that out? Because I've built my business on we don't charge you for work we don't do.
Yeah.
So a lot of companies that do $400 a month to mow your grass, period.
Mm-hmm.
If it's July and the grass hasn't been mowed in 3 weeks, you're still paying that.
Yeah.
People turn away from that quickly.
Yeah.
So how do you build that in to be a sufficient budgeting line for us that I know for a fact that I'm getting $400 a month, but also make that customer happy? I've thought about doing, hey, we're going to still spend a half an hour on a property picking up sticks, doing mulch and stuff like that. What would be your suggestion on that?
Yeah, you can add more value to it, and then you kind of balance that and you say, listen, on average, it's going to be this number of mowings every month. It will vary because of the weather and everything that's going on. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw, like on the upper plan, you've got like, I don't know the numbers, but we've got $1,000 in bonuses that we will, we'll deliver. Like we'll do this free, we'll do that, we'll clear up sticks. It's a complete service, and then you kind of, it's not smoke and mirrors, but it's you're basically saying the value we give is worth so much that you're not going to be worrying about one mowing every month. Like I know where I live, I've got a guy comes and mows, but it's just one time, right? And I'm like, that fairly adds up. But if I could just put it on a smaller subscription, give or take, I don't mind. Personally, I wouldn't worry, but you're right, some people would. So it's about fulfilling what they're looking for in like a particular bucket product. But that upper level especially would be easy, that you could throw in all these extras, but you can do it at every level. If you had like 3 levels, you can still, even on the lower level, you can say, look, there's a little bit of less variance because we're doing less for you. It's a smaller space, but we're still going to do all this other stuff. Again, it could be like gutters, sticks, that kind of thing.
How many in this room have paid for convenience at some time in their life? All of you, you better raise your hands. Yeah, Griffin, my thought for that is that we all pay for convenience.
Right.
I realized by going to a local dog food place that I could save $3.75 on the 3 different types of bags of dog food, because I have 3 dogs with 3 different digestive needs. And I send Chewy a lot of money every single month because it's a subscription-based platform that I don't have to worry about. And I overpay $15 every 6 to 7 weeks. 6, 7, something like that. Yeah, I did it. But I do it because it's there and it's convenient, right?
Yeah.
I don't have to think about it. I know it's coming. Those dogs are going to be fed. I don't have to run to Brook Park or to any other dog food place.
Again, and that's your ideal customer right there.
Do you find better customer retention with the subscription plan? Because if I have to write an invoice, if I have to write a checkout, pay my invoice, I think a lot more about next month.
Yeah, and there's even in the industry, there's even a lot of talk about, do we remind people every month that the charge is coming up? Some clients do, some clients don't. The more people think about it, that's true, the more they're likely to go, well, I could maybe cut this one out, or it's almost like the more visible you are, the more at risk you are. But I think ultimately, like Norm said, if you're offering a service and a convenience that people are like, I don't want to be without, like, can you imagine having to get my mower out and go and do this? No, not at all. Then that's those are the customers you want, and I think that's important as well, because I've been in so many different industries across the years, but I remember working in kitchens. I used to design kitchens for people, and we fitted them, and I ran the companies, and the people who paid $3,000 for kitchens complained 10 times more than the guys that paid $50,000 for a kitchen. And so it was like, well, I want to work with these guys, So it's that type of thing. You got to find the target and find the right people and offer them the service where they're like, convenience is the all important thing here. I don't care if you miss, like one mowing. I totally understand it. So I think that's an important point.
Yeah, Amber.
Yeah,
Amber.
I think some of that is just a change in the way that you're selling, and it's not necessarily, oh, you pay me per mow right now, and now this is going to go monthly. It's more, hey, do you just want to have all of that taken care of, and this is the monthly rate? all year round, comes out automatically. I don't have to invoice you. We come in, we do the spring cleanup. This is what's included in your contract.
Yep.
And then you stop exchanging like, there's
Mm.
this thing for this much for, and it just
Yeah.
becomes that. So I think that's a difference in the sales cycle. But where I want to run with this, just to put it out on the table, is there's that little bit of danger of pre-selling certain things and where your profit margins lie when you have to deliver on those. So like I had a catering business, and in the winter, things were certainly more lean. So that was the time where I was taking deposits on weddings, which were huge jobs. And I can tell you that it was nice to have the extra cash flow in the winter, but then when I did the job, I certainly wasn't losing money on it, but I wasn't making as much money as I was otherwise because I had already collected some of that. And I can see the potential for businesses to sell a year, not manage their money properly, and find themselves in a pickle because you still got to pay your guys to go out and do that mowing.
Yeah,
So
true.
I'm sure you've got some horror stories around that, I would
Yep.
imagine.
Yeah,
but do you have any
absolutely.
words of wisdom for how a business potentially manages their cash flow throughout the year, but knowing that most of us sitting in this room are providing a physical service, like we're not an online business
Yeah.
necessarily. So there are some of those realities of we're not infinitely scalable. We still got to pay our guys. We can only mow so many lawns.
Yeah, well, I suppose that's the thing. That's down. There's only so much we can systemize without breaking up the payments and just taking it away from the business to use. So, because I know I've started much more to do prepay when I'm working with clients, like prepay retainers. So like buy 6 months or buy 3 months, and get X amount of free value or whatever it is. As you say, very easy. It's I'm providing a service, so there's no hard cost to it. But I think that's as much as anything, it's just being smart and going. I mean, it's a perfect example where you've got seasonal. It's massively seasonal, right? It's certain elements of your business. So you're going, well, I've got a budget for that. So let's set, what do they say? Be okay while the sun's shining, So you got to do that. But I think as much, I'm probably not the right person to sit and say, well, actually, if that happens, then you've got to put in place this system to split it up a bit better or to pro-rata it out for different providers, or again, negotiating deals with different providers as well, because I know a lot of my clients in product-based businesses, they're buying tons of stock up front as well, so they tend to do that as the money comes in, and then just let it kind of seg out over the year to the people, the customers. So but you're 100% right. It's a big danger.
Just a word of caution.
It is, absolutely.
So I'm like,
Absolutely.
It is a great idea, but you just need to understand, and that's where you have to have control of your pricing model. You need to know what you're dealing with so that you're not overspending in one place and finding yourself in a bind in another.
Well, I suppose the one thing with your business would be that when that's happened, when you can make money, especially, is when people are like, oh my God, I really need this done during the seasonal elements. And then that's when your team are most active, and that's when you're paying them most. And then so it follows, it follows the activity within your business, right, to some degree.
The biggest thing for us that's been a struggle in the last couple of years is the cash flow.
Yeah.
You do work on January 1st, that invoice goes out February 1st, it's due March 1st. Well, now you're 3 months later, and if that, God forbid, that invoice is late, now you're 45 days. So this year, I'm moving everything to these weekly invoices.
100%, yeah.
So card on file for any new customers.
Yep.
And when we leave the property, it's billed.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the way. That's the way to go. Yeah,
flawless.
that's the way to go. You can't be chasing payments, because I work with agencies, like marketing agencies, and some of them are still dealing in checks and this, that, and the other. So I have my team, and then there's me, and then there's the agency, and there's the client, and some of the clients are like business, and they're on 30 days net, and I'm like, we got to get the money. I don't. Right. Yeah. So that's exactly right. It's all about systemization. This is the process. When you come on board with us, this is the way it's going to work. You're going to get an amazing service. As soon as the job's done, we're going to bill the amount on card. Good to go. But with subscription, of course, it's easy. We get them signed in, and then it's just renewals, and you just let those run. And now it's all, you're not waiting on a check. You're not chasing. You will still have to chase. You will still have to chase. You get bounce cards and different issues, and you have to, but you can systemize and automate all that as well. So the system sends them emails and texts, and says you're about to lose out. You're going to have to go to the next level of pricing if you say you've raised your prices recently. So it's just wherever you can put a system in place to deal with it, and that sounds like you're doing exactly the right thing about the change in terms. Yeah.
So should subscription price and regular price match, or be more of a discount? Or should your, like, let's just say your service price, you should look at that as like your overall business is increasing what it pays out, right?
Yeah, there's a couple
But
of
then
different.
your service or subscription would be at a significant, discount.
Yeah, so there's a couple of different ways, depending on the product line and how tiered and complex it is. Because once you start putting in too many options, then you get the whole, people friction to the process. So I think in most instances, if you offer a subscription, you say, hey, look, come on board with us, or you can buy it one time. The subscription is going to be a subscribe and save type model. Like you go into Amazon and you go to get, cologne or coffee or whatever it is, and there's a little subscribe and save, and you're like, oh yeah, that saves me on this one. It saves me $10. Do it, and then it rolls. So I normally wouldn't. You got to incentivize in some way. Why would you subscribe? Why would you prepay for a year? There has to be a good logic and good reasoning for it that you put forward in your marketing materials. That then people are like, no brainer, done.
But would it be better to like incentivize with like something like you get a free gift?
Yeah.
Versus you get 10% off.
Yeah.
Or that's what I'm kind of saying.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
Is it better like overall like like for instance, I don't know graphs, but if I was in your shoes, like if you have us come out this one time, you're gonna pay $100. But if you come out for a month or for the next 6 months, like you said, $300,
Yeah, look,
I don't know.
I do exactly the same thing. So I work a lot, again, on scope projects, retainers, service-based. So with clients, I say, look, if you want, say it's like an ad hoc project, I'm like, it's going to be a couple $100 an hour, and you want to come on board on a retainer, pay every month, we're going to drop it to whatever the rate is based on how many hours they want, and then they're going to get the best rate. You want to prepay, you're going to get an even better rate. And that's the way I kind of stagger it, which works pretty well in my instance. So it might be a similar kind of concept, but you just have to have, like, a free gift is great. If you can do a free gift and a discount, even better. Just depends on, because, 2% discount doesn't mean much to anybody if you can quantify it. But again, that's how you spin it into your marketing and say, you're getting this amazing free gift worth, almost the value, if you can do it like almost the value of whatever, like in the coin club that we do, you basically, if you prepay for the year, you get 2 months free, plus you get this big board worth $200. Like, so people are going, okay, 2 months free? That's pretty good. And then I'm getting this other thing that I actually need, even better, do it. So that's how we get the prepays there. So it's an argument, you're battling against their objections, but you have to make it pretty powerful while still keeping it profitable.
So my wheels are already spinning a bit, but the one question I had is, like, for your watch club, how are you finding the partners? Because obviously you're not making watches. You're managing the service.
Yeah.
And I thought I heard you say you had a guy that spends $500 and he's getting like $1,000 watch.
Yeah.
So how are you finding those partners, and how are you able to provide that value in the product?
Yeah, you looking to start a watch club? Is that why?
No, yeah. Pocket watch club.
Yeah, no. So, well, the pocket watch thing is it's more niche anyway, right? The way we found partners was actually, that really was smoke and mirrors. So when we launched the club, we didn't have any, customers at all. We didn't have any partners. We basically had a logo, and I built a landing page, and then I was like, okay, we're just going to be really cheeky and announce it in this group. And we announced it, and that's how the email list started to build. And then from the email list building, once it got to like 200, 300 people, I started approaching smaller brands. You can get the head of the brand, then you're not going through a board or anything like that, or going through a distributor. So I was like, listen, we're getting more and more people signing up to this club concept. Do you want to be part of this? It's pretty cool. We may have X amount of orders per month. Nobody's done it this way before. So that started the ball rolling on what we would call like a micro brand level, independent brands. So the guys, got one guy in Rochester, New York. Those watches are like $1,000, $1,200, and we can get them a bit lower. The other way to do it is that you get like end of line stock. So some of the brands, even as partners, say we bought 20 grand's worth of watches in 1 month from this one brand. Because we were doing that, they were giving us 70% off retail. And that's then, you get that extra 20% as your markup or wherever it landed based on our plans. There's another way to do it. The other way to do it is we have distributors that we find in the community, just like seeing who's active in different groups. So there could be like pocket watch groups. You go in, you're like, hang on, this person represents some brands here. Just get in touch with them. Here, we're doing something different. Set a call, and then you're negotiating. And then it's like, listen, if you've got any last units in the world, you've got limited editions, you've got stuff sitting on your shelves that the brand wants to get rid of, we're your guys. And that's again how you get those better prices.
Well, even with the Coin Club, are the monthly, is it the same product going out to everybody, or is there different variations of?
In that one, yeah. So they do standard and VIP membership. So the VIP membership doubles the coins, but you get what's in the standard membership and patches, and then you get a custom design just for VIP. But they're the same every month. Everybody gets the same particular like firehouse in that instance. So it's, Houston, engine number 8 or something like that. Everybody gets that coin, but they're all custom. So they're very limited.
But for the watches, and because you have so many, because you have the partners, you just find the ones in the price range for the package day.
Yeah.
And they get whatever.
So there's a little bit of balance because you're going, okay, you're on a $500 a month plan. We really have to get something that's worth at least $750 to $1,000. And every brand's different. So some brands are like, if they say it's $1,000, it's worth $1,000. That's what you're going to pay. Other brands are a little bit, it'll be like 500. You could probably get it for. So you just kind of, you have to be fluid with it as well.
I want to congratulate Alex because he's just broken a Business Bytes and Brews record.
Talking, is it?
For the longest Business Bite and Brew. And as a token of our esteem, we'd like you to have this koozie.
Oh, I already got that though.
And a firm handshake. Yeah, we gave that to you prematurely.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you.
A lot of great information. And I'm looking around the room and thinking that everyone is here can take what he said and put it into practice in their business. And everyone online can do the same. And tell me about your website. If people wanted to learn more about you, where would they go?
Yeah, so there's alexfleck.com. That's me. So it's got all the stuff. It's got resources and the tools, for like revenue generators and the fun stuff. Figure out like quizzes where you're at in subscription entrepreneurship. There is another website, the subscriptionaccelerator.com. And that's kind of my platform. So if you're starting out in subscription, there's the revenue generator, but there are like launch plans that will map out your launch. There's AI mentors that will guide you from anything from ads to launch strategy to mindset. And there's a ton of other tools in there. So those are the two main ones. So
yeah. Thank you, Ian.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
You. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Feel free to
Thank you guys.
hang out and ask questions.